YouTube is undeniably one of the best resources for language learners to leverage in order to maximize their potential. There's so much gold on here for free, starting from polyglots who document exactly how they became one, tips, strategies, resources, secret hacks to decode language learning, and even mere learners who don't know all the tactics yet, but have created channels to document their learning journey. Like this one. If you're new here, I'm Nas, and here I speak all things language learning, where right now I'm documenting my road to fluency with Spanish. So if you want to learn and grow with me and not feel so alone, then consider subscribing. And I'm not the only one. Here are other channels I recommend for learning Spanish. But speaking of, how many of you actually find YouTube helpful or even just motivating to learn Spanish? Hit the thumbs up button if you do. Now that we're on the same page, I'll be recommending 3 categories. 1, channels that teach tips and strategies for you to learn Spanish. 2, channels with native Spanish speakers who you can watch for comprehensible input, which is how you immerse in the language. And thirdly, smaller channels that are dedicated to just documenting their journey, their own personal journeys learning Spanish that you can follow along and grow with. Spanish with Crew Paul. I recently discovered this one and I think he's really helpful. Why? Because he teaches Spanish from an English speaker's perspective. In his videos, he'll sometimes give like a split screen where he gives you sentences or examples. He'll say something and he'll pause, so you watching the video can also answer the question or give your opinion on what you think something might be before he reveals it. So I think it's like a nice follow along learning type of vibe. Spanish hacks. I actually recently discovered him because he did a video with someone I love on TikTok, and he did an interview with her, and then I realized that on his channel he does several other interviews as well with like Spanish natives, and I find the interviews really useful for comprehensible input. And I also love that he does his videos teaching Spanish in Spanish, because again, comprehensible input. I've learned vocabulary just from watching his interviews because he puts captions both in Spanish and English, which I find really useful. I know that must take so much editing, so thank you so much for the effort you put into your videos. Español con Juan. He's Spanish, I believe. I think he's literally from Spain, and his video or his channel I think is the perfect for learning Spanish in context, which is so important. Why? Because number 1, he teaches Spanish in Spanish, as well as when he's teaching you something, he will create an entire scenario around it in his videos, so you can learn these vocabulary or learn what this thing means, and you can understand it in the context. Elise Speaks. She actually inspired this channel's name, Nas Speaks, Elise Speaks. She doesn't only do Spanish content because she's a polyglot, but she does do a lot of Spanish videos, like, you know, teaching you tips and strategies, how to memorize vocabulary. I find her admirable, relatable. Hola Spanish. She is one of the much bigger platforms or channels teaching you Spanish, and I think she is super helpful. She teaches you Spanish in Spanish, so all of these channels honestly could kind of be comprehensible input because a lot of them actually teach you Spanish in the language, which I think is super beneficial. She gives you very practical tips with examples, and I find her content very helpful. Spanish After Hours. This is hands down one of my favorites. She is from Spain, so again, teaching you Spanish in Spanish, comprehensible input. I love her. She doesn't speak fast, but not slow to the point where she's counting her words. She does like vlogs in Spanish to teach you vocabulary in context and just like practical tips. I find her as one of the like really useful channels for learning the language in context. And you'll find that a lot of my recommendations are people that teach you the language in context, which is why I'm recommending them as like the best channels, because I think it's the best thing when you learn the language in context. Now we're on to native Spanish speakers to watch for comprehensible inputs. Coming in hot is Maya Barberi. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly, but I recently discovered her channel. She does videos about like self-development or like tips, you know, things she wished she would have known before, blank, or just like self-love and improvement type videos. And she does it in like a podcast style as well, so it's like her and the mic and she's just like talking to you. So perfect for comprehensible inputs. You don't have to really even like be watching it. You can just like close your eyes, maybe watch it before you go to your bed. Johanna de la Cruz, she is from Peru. She does a lot of vlogs and challenges. I love her accent. She does speak a little bit on the fast side, but I think once you kind of get used to how she talks, you'll catch on the more you watch her. So definitely Johanna de la Cruz, check her out. All right, time to speed this up. Next up, we have Organic Spanish and Clases con Clau. These, again, are native Spanish speakers. I think they're from Spain, and they teach you Spanish in Spanish. So the Organic Spanish, she actually dedicates her channel to like kind of helping people learning Spanish who want to focus on comprehensible inputs. It's in her channel description, and I love that. And then in Clases con Clau, pretty much the same thing. So yeah. Coming in hot are just 3 small channels that I want to share that document their personal journeys learning Spanish that I discovered and I enjoy watching, and you know, build that community with them. Since they are small, you are likely to get like a response from them in the comments, which I find very nice because sometimes the bigger channels don't really notice you. Kiara Thomas is the first one. She actually has like a viral video of how she got fluent in Spanish, so maybe you've watched that video or maybe you've heard it or seen it on your recommended. She kind of does like video, like vlogs type of videos. She documents her life in English and Spanish, so it's not strictly Spanish videos, but she does share a lot about that, and she has a very nice personality. I like her, just a nice vibe from her videos. Beatrice Okoro, forgive me if I butchered your pronunciation, but yeah, so she also had a pretty viral video too, of how she became fluent in Spanish. Something else was what made me discover her channel, but then I saw that video and I thought it was really helpful. She actually inspired me to buy the book Yo no soy tu perfecta hija mexicana that she shared in that video. I actually bought the book from watching that video, so shout out to you, girl. Thank you so much. Lastly, I'm sharing Luke Learns Spanish. I found him through his comprehensible input videos. I found his journey inspiring, you know, boldly sharing his Spanish on this platform. He's obviously, you know, growing, and you're kind of watching him grow, and you can like grow with him, and it's just nice to hear somebody else's perspective on how they're learning the language. I too would probably fall in this category of a super small YouTuber who is documenting my journey learning Spanish. So definitely, if you want to follow along my journey, then feel free to subscribe and comment below if you have any other recommendations for YouTubers, because I'm open to discovering more. And thank you so much for watching this video. You will see me in my next one. Bye guys. That's my way every single day.